My family, hi. I have some urgent prophetic updates for you, from the man of God, Pastor Chris Oyakilome, and his son in the Lord, Prophet Uebert Angel. But before I get to that, here is something from the news.
Over the past 36 hours, the United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury. Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands and was responsible for the slaughter of countless thousands of innocent people all across many countries. Last night, all over Iran, the voices of the Iranian people could be heard cheering and celebrating in the streets when his death was announced. The entire military command is gone as well, and many of them want to surrender into saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands.
And in light of all this, there is a prophetic word that was released by the man of God, Pastor Chris Oyakilome. If I'm getting the date right, it was the 12th of December, 2024. And as he was actually teaching about the end times and all that, he went on to touch the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49, from around verse 38 and all that. And this is what he said about Iran.
Go to Jeremiah chapter 49. We're going to read from verse 38. And I will set my throne in Elam, and will destroy from thence the king and the princes, saith the Lord. Where is Elam? Elam is Iran. Here is what God is saying. I will set my throne in Iran. That means Iran belongs to Jesus Christ. And look what it says. It says, I will destroy thence the king and the princes. So all those leaders who say Jesus Christ is not allowed in Iran, they are done for. Because God has them in his sights. God is saying, I have a throne in Iran. So there's going to be a massive salvation in Iran like the world has never seen. There's some people who don't understand the scriptures. They say that, no, the Elamites are not connected to the Iranians. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. The Bible tells you that's the place. In fact, when you read in the book of Acts, you will see there were Elamites who came to Jerusalem to worship. Many Jewish Elamites, devout men and women, Parthians, Medes and Elamites. That's not too long ago. And that should tell you it wasn't going to end, because God said, I've set my throne. I've set my throne there. Look at it. I will set my throne in Elam, and will destroy from thence the king and the princes, saith the Lord. Now let's read the next verse. But it shall come to pass in the latter days. You see, so it goes into the future. In the latter days, that I will bring again the captivity of Elam. Can you see that? That means I'll save Elam. I will save Iran. In the latter days, they will be saved. So you're looking at the future of Iran. Iran is not going to go the way the caliphate is thinking. It's not going to go the way the Khomeinis are thinking. No. Iran is going to go the way of the scriptures, the way of the gospel. That's the way it's going to go. And in fact, is now set in that journey. set in that journey. So the Lord's throne is there. Is there. He said, I will set my throne in a lamb, and I will destroy from thence the king and the princes, saith the Lord. So the only option they have is to accept Jesus Christ. Because you see, he knows it's not the people that are rejecting him. He says the king and the princes. That's why he's going to be after them. The king and the princes. He's going to destroy the people. He's going to bless the people. Look at the next verse. But it shall come to pass in the latter days that I will bring again the captivity of a lamb. That is wonderful. Read it from the NIV so you understand what it means by bring again the captivity. Yet I will restore the fortunes of a lamb in days to come, declares the Lord. See that? I will restore the fortunes of a lamb. So this is the future of Iran. Iran belongs to Jesus Christ. So the gospel is going to thrive in Iran like never before. It's amazing.
And according to his words of prophecy, we're actually seeing things unfolding, and especially all those leaders and princes and kings who are against, Christianity and all that, who push this Islamic agenda and all that. We are seeing them being taken out one after the other. All right. And I actually failed to share that prophetic word with you. And another one that you actually need to pay close attention to, he talked about a coming revival to Iran. All right. So that is an update also you need to use as you're praying and all that. And moving on to other things, I remember sharing this one.
Then, of course, we want to get to the Middle East.
Let's go, sir.
Israel and Iran, I saw escalation rhetoric. Escalation. But in that escalation, I saw America at the top of it. And I saw even Iran itself, as it were, in a star-spangled banner being given to someone. As I saw Greenland is what I saw with Iran. So it will be like it's given over.
And to confirm all this, during the 1st of March Sunday live service, he came out to say this.
When I told you, overnight you will hear when Iran, I said, overnight, you just hear, the guy is gone. That was 8th of January. As I saw Greenland is what I saw with Iran. So it will be like it's given overnight.
Well, there's actually another new development I actually saw. So you may correct me if I'm wrong. If it's still part of the same prophecy, you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I remember Prophet you saying this.
I saw a single military and covert incident that will spike oil prices overnight.
And concerning this issue of oil prices.
Now, this is according to reports that have started coming in after U.S. futures markets opened after the turbulent weekend. Dow futures tanked by 500 points just after the opening bell. And this was compounded by Brent crude prices surging by nearly 13%, which happened after Asian trade opened on Monday following the US and Israeli strikes on Iran and the resulting instability in West Asia. Iran's IRGC has claimed at least 3 attacks on ships near the Strait of Hormuz so far. Reports also suggest that dozens of ships have been stranded in the Persian Gulf. Danish shipping giant has also halted passage through both the Strait of Hormuz and the Suez Canal for safety reasons. 20% of the world's oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz, so significant developments that are coming in. In fact, oil prices that have only been surging in early trade, Brent crude that has crossed $80 per barrel. Let's go across quickly to Susan again. Susan, these are developments, volatile of course, as we understand that Brent crude has risen. It is trading above 13%. Talk to us about how the markets could react in the next few hours, and also the oil prices, which we are seeing surge by almost 13%.
Yeah, there was no doubt that this attack, this operation was going to have an effect on the oil markets. Markets are going to open tomorrow here in the United States, first on the East Coast, early morning. And, you know, Wall Street is definitely expected to react. President Trump, earlier when he talked to some local reporters, said that he was not concerned ultimately about oil prices and the economic impact of these attacks. We'll wait and see how that pans out tomorrow, which is Monday. But there is that cause of concern that if there's so much turbulence, then the United States might have to change its strategy. But as for now, it appears that the administration says that we have to do what we have to do, even if it does affect the markets short term. They're willing to take that risk.
Susan, just a quick follow-up question before we let you go. Talk to us about the statements that have been coming in from the CENTCOM also, particularly with respect to the damage that's been done when it comes to the stealth bombers that have been used. US claiming that IRGC headquarters has been dismantled, and several of the Iranian leaders who've been killed in these strikes.
Yes, we have been getting those reports, and the kind of military equipment that the United States had used, some drones for the first time, of course, Tomahawks as well. The latest that we have is regarding those attacks on IRGC headquarters, where the president alluded to that again in another interview. He said that the headquarters have completely been dismantled, and that was the cause for him to come out and say that this is the time for the forces, for the security forces to come and disarm and disavow the regime. We've seen videos. We still don't know the exact casualty and the amount of damage, but according to U.S. sources and according to CENTCOM, that main headquarters has been dismantled. Of course, earlier we also heard that the Iranian Navy base has also been dismantled and attacked as well, and a number of Iranian ships sinking right now as a result of this war.
All right, Susan, thank you for the moment. We will keep coming back to you to track more updates.
But it won't start the way people think it will start. People will do the same mistake that they are doing with Venezuela and say, oil. When it's not even oil. And when they begin to talk about oil, there is going to be oil price volatility, where it will disturb the markets, yet it is not the thing that they should be looking at. Countries are losing their power. And the UN will back as usual.
In addition to the new civilian residential building, the aggressors have also targeted a school in the city of Minab, Hormozgan province, killing more than 100 children. The number of innocent civilians continues to rise. This is not only an act of aggression, it is a war crime and a crime against humanity. The justification advanced by the representative of the United States today are illegal and entirely devoid of legal foundation. The baseless allegation invoked to defend this unlawful use of force have no standing under international law. The invocation of preemptive attack claims of imminent threats or other substantiated political claims cannot legitimize aggression. Such claims are unfounded legally, morally, and politically, and they contradicted the clear principles of the Charter of the United Nations. The United States and Israel war today is not merely a war against Iran. It is a war against the Charter of the United Nations, a war against international law, and a war against the international legal order upon which the United Nations and the Security Council have been built for over 8 decades.
The US President Donald Trump has warned that operations against Iran will continue until all objectives are achieved. There's indications that conflict in the Middle East could now last for weeks following the killing of Ayatollah Khamenei by the US and Israel. This is the current state of play. The US President says that 3 troops have been killed in conflict. Reports that they are servicemen based in Kuwait. The President says the US has destroyed and sunk 9 Iranian naval ships. Israeli authorities say that 9 people have been killed when an Iranian missile struck a shelter in the central city of Bet Shemesh. Drone attacks targeted Dubai again overnight, with the UAE saying 3 have been killed since the start of the conflict. Qatar says they are now using fighter jets to intercept Iranian attacks at sea, and that is reducing the impact on the capital in Doha. Airspace in the UAE and Qatar remains closed, meaning there is no indication of when Emirates, Etihad and Qatar Airways flights can resume, and that will impact thousands upon thousands of Australians trying to get in and out of the Middle East. The UAE stock market will also be closed on Monday and Tuesday. Iran says a transition council has been established to facilitate the election of a new supreme leader within days.
No leader has had the courage of Donald Trump, no leader, to take on a brutal dictatorship head on and cut not only the head off the snake, but his mullahs as well. And a massive credit to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who's fought terror while being abandoned by so-called allies in the West. Iranians far and wide are celebrating. Even Iran state TV has reportedly been hacked and is showing replays of President Trump calling on Iranians to rise up against the regime.
You with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future.
Joining me now is US-Israeli journalist and commentator Emily Schrader in Tel Aviv. Emily, thank you so very much for your time. Really appreciate it. What a weekend it's been. Firstly, your reaction to everything that's happened.
Oh man, I don't even know where to begin. First of all, thank you for having me on. It's been absolutely incredible, and I think I haven't fully processed it. I mean, I'm not even Iranian, but think about people who have waited for this day for 47 years. There are people who fled that country, who had to rebuild their entire lives and entire families. People I grew up with in Los Angeles who suffered for many, many years, whose families have suffered under the leadership of Ali Khamenei, and suddenly in an instant, it's gone. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. Pure elation on the part of Israelis here who have suffered because of Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, all of these terror proxies of the regime and their genocidal ideology, but also for the Iranian people who are still suffering under this regime. And as you put it so eloquently, no other leader has had the courage to do what President Donald Trump, say what you will about him, you might like some of his policies, you might hate others, but he has done the right thing that no one else was willing to do in this situation. And for that, I can only applaud him.
Absolutely. And I do want to get to Donald Trump. But I mean, in your view now, is this really the end of the regime, or is complete liberation premature? How much risk is involved now?
Well, I think anytime you're talking about military activity, there's a lot of risk involved. I mean, I don't want to pretend like everything is rainbows and butterflies. This is a war, and wars are very dangerous. And we have already seen casualties on both sides. Today, there was a ballistic missile that hit Israel, and we've seen almost nonstop sirens here in Tel Aviv. I've been reporting most of the time from my own bomb shelter. So there are people who are dying. It's very high risk. However, it is the beginning of the end. And the reality is that you cannot change the reality on the ground, not only in Iran, but in the entire Middle East, if you're not dealing with the regional threat. This isn't a self-contained regime. Not that that's okay either. When we look at North Korea, for example, it's an awful, oppressive place where they're systematically abusing their own population, but they're not doing it abroad as well. When we look at the Islamic regime in Iran, this is a regime that is founded on exporting this genocidal ideology for now 47 years. And we've seen the results of that. The destabilization of Iraq, of Yemen, of Syria, of Lebanon. The list goes on and on and on. And the longer we wait to deal with this problem, the harder it's going to be, and the more painful and frankly more bloody it's going to be. But I'm glad that somebody stepped up to put an end to this once and for all. We have a long ways to go still. We need to ensure that the IRGC itself is completely dismantled, not just the Ayatollah Khamenei, which is a great first step, but only a first step. And then we need to ensure that there is a transition that is as peaceful and stable as possible. Now, everything is not going to go smoothly, because anytime you have a regime change, there are endless challenges. But I do believe it's possible. I do believe that the future is bright for the people of Iran and for the nation of Iran. And of course, I'm a bit biased, but for the Iran-Israel relationship.
Countries are losing their power. And the UN will back as usual, but never bite. I saw a single military and covert incident that will spike oil prices overnight. then stop. It looks like it's a war, but it's never a war. Then it is stopped. Oil prices have already spiraled. And to bring them down will be something. So the world will breathe again, but the axis will have shifted. Things would have changed already in there.
The lamb is Iran. Here is what God is saying. I will set my throne in Iran. That means Iran belongs to Jesus Christ. And look what it says. It says, I will destroy thence the king and the princes. So all those leaders who say Jesus Christ is not allowed in Iran, they are done for.